Thank you for inviting me to speak at this event, and particularly on this book launch of this very important book, particularly at this time. Uh, the struggle of the Ulam people, a Marxian view of it. So I read a few chapters of the book, and I want to reflect on some of the recommendations, what are some of the political conclusions which um, the United Socialist Party General Secretary Comrade Siritunga as well as Comrade Srinath. There are articles written by them. I want to reflect on some of those articles, but also talk in general about where we stand in terms of the ethnic question. Now, when I'm invited to speak on the issue of what happened in the past, I have to give a background of myself because we all start political discussions from it's a very personal thing. Something like race, something like gender is a very personal. Something like class, it's a very personal thing. So, despite the fact that I was born in Jaffna and I was displaced to Colombo in 1990 when I was 3 years old, I would not call myself a victim of the war. In fact, I was exposed to many things because I was displaced to Colombo. And of course, I got the benefit of living with many Sinhalese people, which many of people of my generation, Tamil people of my generation, did not have, and they perished without even having that opportunity. So I want to put that into context because when we speak about war and we speak about ethnic relations, I did not live or I did not experience the knife, the sharp edge of the knife of war, disappearance, death, torture, like comrades Siritunga and comrades Srinath would have experienced. I did not live through that. I mean, I got into politics much later in 2012. So by that time, things have more or less war is over. So things have, but at that time, death, life and death was a reality. People died because they took positions on the ethnic question. So, and because there were people like Comrade Siritunga and Comrade Srinath who took a position right throughout, took a position and said, race is wrong, racism is wrong, this war is wrong. There were people, despite the odds, took that position. Today, we are able to stand here and talk about a particular truth which otherwise would not have existed. So, there were many comrades like them, and I am still learning from many of them. But speaking of the ethnic issue itself, we speak about self determination. But before we even got into this issue of self determination, the war started from very, very basic, fundamental economic and social oppression by the Sinhala state on the Tamil people. For instance, take the land question, take the Mahavali project. Tamil people were forcibly at gunpoint removed from their lands, and this became a point of contention. Take the issue of education. Standardization was brought in. Many Tamils were kicked out of the university. So, war itself commenced because of basic fundamental economic and social injustices which were imposed on the Tamil speaking people. So, to overcome this at that time, this was also a post colonial time when many states, many communities were fighting for an identity. And the right of self determination came out of that particular colonial context, where initially the right of self determination evolved when many of the third world states were fighting for independence. So at that time, the right of self determination and the right of secession was a political tool through which the Tamil speaking people were able to articulate their demand. I think that time has passed now. Of course, there's a debate, but the right of self determination and what it means in terms of practice, I'm not so much in agreement with it. I think there is much more important things to do in terms of practice when it comes to the right of the Tamil people, Muslim people, as well as the Malayan community. One of the things, because I'm a Tamil speaking person and because I have heard so much about my community being through this war, one of the mistakes which the Tamil community did, and particularly because a group like the LTT developed as a result of the very oppressive Sinhala state, is that we thought we can fight the struggle on our own. And to date, I think by and large that has remained the problem with the Tamil struggle. Leftists like Karalya Singham have written about it. Tamil leftists have written about it and said that the problem is we thought we could fight it on our own, and we don't have to form solidarity. We don't have to engage with the larger Sinhala masses in order to win our struggle. And we should have done that because we were still at that time also we were a minority. Now we are even a smaller minority. So we should have actively done that. But one of the biggest failings of the Tamil struggles is that we did not effectively do that. But on the other hand, when we look at the South, there was a racist and nationalist force which was being built up. For instance, the JVP in the 80s and the 90s, and later on when they formed coalition governments with Mahinda Rajapaksa, there was a racist state which was being built up, which did not make it possible for even Tamil-speaking people, moderate Tamil-speaking people, to engage with the South. How do you engage with the South, which is denying our right to existence? So that reflection, by and large, I mean, apart from meetings like this, by and large, I have not seen in the South. Even today, people said, oh, the war is over. Now we should get along with it. People should. There was a recent meeting which was held by one of the left parties, and they want us to hold hands and talk about ethnic unity. But that party has been in the forefront of leading this Sinhala Buddhist ideology. And after doing that, and after 40,000 people have died as a consequence of that, now they want us to hold hands and talk about ethnic unity. So, in order to come forward, just as much as we push the Tamil community to come out of the shadows of the LTTE, in the South also, there has to be a genuine effort to, and when I say genuine effort, it does not mean let's hold hands, let's sing songs. That's not what I mean. Genuine effort to talk about the issues of the Tamil people, which to date exist. To date, the government is taking lands from the Tamil speaking people in the north and the east. To date, the archaeological department, the forest department, the Mahavali is claiming lands which should have belonged to Tamil farmers and Tamil people living in the north and the east. So there has to be a genuine effort to stand by people in the north and the east, people in various communities which are being oppressed, if you want to talk about ethnic reconciliation. As to the LTT itself, I on my part, and this is a extremely personal opinion because I don't think many Tamil speaking people would agree with my position. I think the LTT was a force, a fascist force, which was a cancer which grew inside the Tamil community, which at the end of the war did not know how to negotiate politics. So, therefore, as a result of their stubborn politics, it resulted in nearly 40,000 people or more dying in the Mulli massacre. So that is my personal opinion of the LTT, that it was a very ruthless fascist force which killed many dissenters, which killed many people in the Tamil, which killed people, Tamils living in the north and the east who did not agree with them, which recruited children into war, completely leaving no room for a future for the Tamil speaking people. Because many people who died in the war at the last stages were recruited by the LTT to sustain an unsustainable war. And that is my personal opinion of the LTT. But also talking about the Elam project. And I always say this, the word Elam itself, when we were small, we used to, in our Tamil books, we used to study, we used to refer to Sri Lanka in Tamil as Elanadu. So Elam is the word in Tamil for Sri Lanka. So even while LTT was asking for a separate state, they were in fact mirroring themselves with the Sinhala oppressive Sri Lankan state when they called themselves Ulam. The flag itself was red and yellow. Our Sinhala Buddhist flag is also red and yellow. Instead of the lion, they have a tiger. And they also imagined a mono-ethnic state, just like the Sinhala Buddhist state also imagines the Sinhalese to be the majority and everyone else to bow down to them. So now we are in a conundrum. The war which was fought by the LTT was also a mirror image of the Sinhala Buddhist state. So we come to the point, what do we as leftists do when we talk about this ethnic issue? One of the things which I always say is, which I've said before, is that we need to talk about real problems which affect people. Political debates are important. We have to reflect on history. We have to look at what we went wrong in history and so on. But that historical education must be used for present struggles. And I said there are so many struggles which are going on in the north and the east, which by and large the Sinhala South has remained silent. And even while they speak about this, they have not been able to question the Sinhala Buddhist state. The word Sinhala Buddhism has become so fearful that political parties, with exceptions of course, but by and large, political parties claiming to be left they have not been able to effectively question this Sinhala Buddhism, which have resulted in this very bloody past which we have. So, as leftists, we need to start off. This is my opinion. We need to start off by questioning the foremost place of Sinhala Buddhism in the constitution and what that has done to communities in Sri Lanka, and what that has done historically. When you place a particular religion as the foremost religion in a constitution, what does that do? It creates majority and minority, and what that has done in the past is something which we have to reflect on. In the book, the Equality Socialist Party have suggested an South Asian Confederation as a means of uh, uniting working class groups. Now, it is a theoretically, I think it's a very good idea, but we have to reflect on that idea. In the book, also, these things are spoken about in the context of what is happening in India. In India, India is currently led by Narendra Singh Modi, who is also, just like many parties which came in Sri Lanka, is also a very Hindutva supremacist party, which was spoken about in the book. So it is in this context that we are also asking about a South Asian Confederation of working class people. My only issue with that is, as long as the Indian state has a strong grip on the Indian population, it would be a challenge. I mean, it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible in history, but it would be a challenge to form a confederation which does not result in the Indian supremacy of the other South Asian states, which is what I have seen even in leftist circles. There is a lot of Indian supremacy within any kind of South Asian solidarity which forms, and we have to find, if you are thinking of this South Asian Confederation, we have to also think of overcoming this very important problem. But since we are talking about the ethnic questions, yesterday I was in a fisheries meeting of fishers from the north and the south, and there was a fisher leader from Mannar who said that the Adani project, the windmill project, has come through, and we are fishers. We want our resources to be protected, but they are coming and planting these windmills in an island, and as a result, not only is our fishing resources being depleted, but our island is going to sink if this continues. And similarly, there are so many islands in the north which have been used for energy projects, and there is no one to speak about it. There is no one to speak about it in the north. There is no one to speak about it in the south. So I'm raising these very specific issues because it's important that we reflect on the past. It's important that we reflect on, for instance, what the Mahavali project did without giving an inch of water, a drop of water to the north. How did the Mahavali Commission manage to acquire so much land in the north? Is a question which we are still asking. Without giving a drop of water to the north, how did the Mahavali project acquire so much of land in the north? And how did that fuel ethnic tensions in the north? Is a question which we are still asking. On the question of working class solidarity, when I speak of ethnic issues, leftists would come and tell me, oh no, ethnic issues are identity politics. So when you say identity politics, it's always like second in line to class politics, because when it comes to left politics, class always takes precedence. But in Sri Lanka, despite theoretical arguments, in Sri Lanka has that been the reality? I'm a trade unionist. I work with a lot of workers, but when we work with Tamil workers, the language issue is a real living reality for these workers. Getting a job because of the ethnicity is a living reality for these workers. When riots break out, Tamil workers are afraid that they would be targeted. So ethnicity is a living reality for the working class of this country. So you cannot do politics, whether it be in the south or north or whatever. You cannot do politics in Sri Lanka by leaving aside the race question, because race defines our life every day. Whether you go to the state, whether you go to the society, whether you go into your family, race defines our lives every single day. So as leftist in Sri Lanka, because left is not a common language, it is defined according to each context. So in Sri Lanka, if you're a leftist, you need to take a strong position on race, and without taking a strong position on race, you're not going to be able to talk about class unity. So that is what I would like to ask. Thank you so much for the book. Thank you for speaking about these historical injustices. There's so much things to be done. War is over. As Comrade Siritunga has written, the government thinks war is over, so now we don't have to do anything. But oppression, race oppression is still continuing. So there's so much to do. So form alliances, form ties with the people in the north and the east, people in the Malay community, people within the Muslim community. When we speak about, that's one of the things which Comrade Siritunga had said. He had said that we will be dealing with the Muslim question and the Malay question in a different book, and that is also important because one of the things which we keep reflecting when we speak about the LTT is how the first thing which the LTT did when they got possession or when they got control over the north and the east is to cleanse the north and the east of any single Muslim from there. So this is a historical um, blood. I mean, this blood is in our hands as Tamil speaking people. So just like the Sinhala community will reflect, should reflect on ethnic injustices, we also should reflect on ethnic injustices, on caste injustices, which I don't think the Tamil speaking community has done enough. So I want to leave with that. Again, these are my opinions. I did not live during the height of the war, when there were disappearances, when there were deaths, when people were being killed for simply stating opinions. So I thank all my comrades who lived during that time, who fought for us, who fought for ethnic unity at that time. And I hope we can continue the conversation. Thank you.